remember. Pieces.
Hi, I'm Guillermo Del Toro, and I am the director, producer, and screenplay writer of Frankenstein.
My name is Mia Goth, and I play Elizabeth.
My name is Dan Lausten.
I'm Tamara Deverell.
I'm Alexandre Desplat.
I'm Mike Hill.
My name's Kate Hawley.
And we are all here to break down the scene where Mia, playing Elizabeth, meets the creature played by Jacob Elordi for the very first time in the film.
So this scene is the first time she's coming down to the creature's cell.
I love the fact that those pillars were there. It accentuated this fairy tale-esque vibe that we were going for, and I just love that I could hide behind it.
You're peeking over the column, almost like an Arthur Rackham fairy tale illustration. It was very hard to move with the dress without little bridges, because there is a lot of water.
Everything in that set was wet. It was like a giant sauna. The trough sort of tease out, and there was real water coming through the two sewer pipes. And then we had to, with these enormous skirts that Kate was warning me about, we actually had to design around those dresses to allow her to come down the stairs elegantly. The emotional challenge for me was making a place that was like a cell, but that was also evocative and beautiful because he is so beautiful.
So we hear the harp. You can let it go. We hear the harp arpeggios in the lower register and the lower strings keeping notes, which creates a bed, a kind of unsteady bed for the solo violin. There's several things that this violin is telling us. It's the attraction that Elizabeth has for the creature, but it's also the fragility of the creature. It's like an invisible little arch that slowly but surely brings them together. Many violinists, they play with a very romantic expression, and I didn't want that. Because there's enough on the screen. I wanted it to be pure, delicate, and able to be restrained.
You know, we were looking at all the precious books that Guillermo had for Elizabeth's world with all those patterns and structures from blood cells, and he talked about her being like a beetle. I want a beetle. So this is your beetle. We have an absinthe-coloured veil. We have the knit bonnet with the purple halo of flowers behind her. And as we go down through the dress, we have a Duchess silk satin in an acid green that was specially chosen as the colour because of the lighting that Dan took on a whole kind of radioactive colour, part of the wonderful language of the insect.
All the colors are so sensitive, you know. You're not changing the colors in the DI. You could easily make her lights very warm because you want to do it romantic, but we think it's blending so nice into the skin, so you see her red lips, but it's not really red. It's a kind of monochromatic, but it's not monochromatic at all.
We had real chains. Jacob moves so much and so well and can handle things like real chains. They are super heavy.
The chains are very important to be heard because it keeps us understanding that he's not free. He's still the slave of Dr. Frankenstein.
Jacob trying to lift the veil and then liberating her. Mia and I talked, and I said, this is the first time and only time you reveal yourself to anyone in the film. We did do that pointedly. This is my favorite dress in the whole movie. The two strips of purple slide there. It's very subtle, but you are the only character that has purple other than the creature in the entire film. I think we have a hint of purple in a dress that crosses the street when Victor is thinking about the creature, but you're the only character because that makes you guys connect.
Okay, can we pause it right there? So let's break this down a little bit. So on top of the head there, I made him kind of a yellow skull. And that was to reflect Maricella's description of the creature having yellow skin. I did a section of skin that's kind of a bluish grey that bleeds onto his cheeks. That's actually a homage to the original Frankenstein with Boris Karloff. Although the movie was black and white, Jack Pearson, makeup artist, painted him sky grey. The reason I put that bump on his nose, it lengthens and matures his face up. Black lips, again, it's all to do with an allure of having dark lips, and Mary Shelley wrote about it. But also he's wearing dentures. They're not ugly teeth and they're not monstrous teeth. They're just bigger teeth, because sometimes with a character like this, a human's teeth can get lost.
Can we listen to this little section with the violin? da-di-da-di-da, like a Baroque instrument would do. But this motif is actually what you also hear through the film when the corpse is taking shape. The deepest sound that the creature can express, it's these two notes. But here, when she unveils her face, she is illuminated by the soul of the creature. And that's how the music conveys that, expands it. This moment is a ballet. There's no dialogue, it's really a ballet. It could be on stage.
Where he removes the glove here, we shot at 36 frames per second and played it back at 20, so that the face is a little more twitchy, a little more hesitant. It makes her nervous in a great way.
He does that a lot, Guillermo. He's shooting a lot of different frame rates and cut it down to 24 frames. It's hard to explain exactly what it is. It just feels a little bit off.
Sometimes I would come and visit you in the editing room, and that was such an education too, to see how you cut the movie and how you really think of inhales and exhales and how that determines where you're cutting a scene, and I found that really, really interesting too.
We had fun.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Anatomy, as part of the pattern work and the textile work and doing these gloves and this sort of more transparent was just another exploration of that, and it matched the sort of veiling and revealing.
The removal of the glove is not a very coded sort of sensual moment of removing a garment. It was very pointed in the screenplay that the first time Victor sees him, he removes his gloves. And he says, we're the same. And he's saying that, but they're not the same. And she is just doing it without saying anything.
When I think of that set, I think of bones and bone structure, and each tile is going up the arches is like a segment of bone. What I would do is photograph it and then sort of erase out where I wanted missing tiles to be and draw on where I wanted moss to be. Every piece of metal in this place, we had metal pipes and things, was all, had this rust patina, which you don't see so much in the way we lit it, but you feel it.
Sometimes it's helpful to talk about the scene and your approach to it, and other times it's best to leave it untouched. This was my first scene that I filmed with Jacob, and I was just so taken by his approach and his performance, and I was just trying to be as present as possible with him. We didn't even rehearse this because, you could never mimic that again, or if you did, then it's become something else. And sometimes the Guillermo might ask me to do something again. I really would have no recollection that it happened.
If there is no reality to something, she doesn't react. I used to say you're like a weather vane. If there's no wind, you don't move. I remember seeing that expression and knowing that was the take, because she really is seeing it for the first time.
Guillermo didn't want heavy stitching. He didn't want garish wounds, because Victor, certainly in Guillermo's script, Guillermo saw him as a rock star. He saw him as a David Bowie. Well, if a David Bowie made a Frankenstein creature, he would make something aesthetically beautiful in its weirdness. I wanted him to almost resemble a stained window that got broken. I figured that Victor would have stained these pieces of flesh different colors in order for him to put the man back together. He's almost graphing it out for himself. What I'd like to point out on here is the hat there. We got rid of the hat on the creature right there. So this literally has a window to the soul right here on where the hat is.
And look at the eyes, just in that frame, just the depth of those eyes.
I ordered oversized scleral contacts for Jacob, so that his eyes would be like a gorilla. He put one, and then the other, his eye was tearing up, and he said, can I do it today without this one? And we'll put it on digital or whatever. And I said, no, let's have one big eye and one small eye. And the big eye shines back the light like an animal. And every time he had an emotional scene, we would be on this eye. And every time he would be angry, we would be on the angry animal eye.
Guillermo applied this blood. I put it on first, and I was being very gingerly with it, but he came over and he actually put the blood on. Guillermo wanted that symbolism there, of course, of Christ-like right there.
There's so much amazing religious imagery in this film. There's a Christ-like method and wrapping of these bandages, and they're all made out of a leather that had that kind of luminous skin quality. And then you get his beautiful, beautiful skin tone, the exquisite paintwork, that luminous white.
Who hurt you?
I like it. It came from an Oscar Wilde story, The Selfish Giant, where the giant sees Jesus, baby Jesus, and sees that he has wounds. And he says, "Who hurt you?"
Whenever you have just one line,
Who hurt you?
I find that to be the most difficult, to deliver that in a way that is able to land in like a, you know, natural, believable way.
We had to leave the silence slowly take over.
Who hurt you?
I really wanted the music to stop there so that we feel the vibration between the two.
The biggest challenge was for this particular scene is details are being shown. You know, we're having very clear shots of his chest, of his abs, of his stitching. So the makeup had to be particularly tight this day. It was Jacob Elordi that really brought this movie home for me. Thank heavens for this man. And this is a 10-hour makeup that you're looking at right here. Guillermo had talked to Jacob and said, look, use that hours in the makeup chair to become the creature, to become what you are.
I've done 30 years of creature films, 30 years. And the way Jacob disarticulated slowly pieces of his body, like they don't belong together, is something I've never quite expected to see. This is by the way, the perfect light. The way he bounces the light on the face is so beautiful because he gets the glistening of the teeth and the eyes.
The challenge with the way we are shooting is all the light have to be outside the set because we are shooting 280 degrees sometimes. When she's coming around the pillar in the beginning, if you're going back, go back, and play it from there. We are starting super wide and we are coming around, and that's like a 260 degrees. The light have to work from 3 angles in the same time.
We knew that we were gonna do sort of the God touch between the hands. Dan and I toured the set and he said, well, that has to happen under that light because otherwise we will not see it.
You want to paint with the light and write with the camera. Again, because the light is coming from one small spot. That's the reason it's falling so much and so beautiful off. Clearly it's bouncing into the chest and bouncing up to his face, and it's pretty nice, I think.
He's under all of that prosthetics, but I think it's a real testament to Mike Hill and also to Jacob's performance. But after a while, I really didn't even see the makeup. I don't know how they were able to achieve that. I always thought that there has to be some childlike curiosity, purity to Elizabeth to see past the aesthetics and connect immediately.
With the essence.
Yeah.
You know, we have a circle motif that's used throughout Frankenstein, and you see it in the lab, the big lab window. You see it in the captain's quarters. You see it in the very beginning in the circular set we did for the medical lecturing theater. These repeated circles are also in the cell with these big intake and outtake pipes, and the circles in the ceiling.
Even the circular image of the bonnets was about framing the face, how high the bow came up to, you know, just create the window of her face.
The circle theme is life and going places and never getting out of the circle, and the creature breaks that circle.
Victor Frankenstein.
I wrote this part for Mia. An actor brings an essence. She guided this part with her very existence and who she is there forever. I mean, this film is magical.
And these 3 characters, Elizabeth, Dr. Frankenstein, and the creature, they are really romantic heroes. They have no limits in the way they love, in the way they live.
No, it takes a full village to make a movie, you know. It's like a lot of people that are putting all the efforts in to do this art piece.
Each department is working on their own thing, but in such synchronicity, you wouldn't know there's that many people.
As an artist, there's a process where you're going over things but rediscovering them in a new way.
But we did it together. We watched horror movies, we laughed, we joked, we dissected previous Frankenstein movies, and we just had a great time.